Let's be honest. The reason you are still watching videos like this is not because you lack options, confidence, or value. It is because no one ever told you the quiet rules that actually govern loyalty in a woman's heart. I am going to speak to you the way someone should have years ago. If a woman does one specific thing for you, and I mean consistently, without being asked, without being rewarded, without being pressured, it is one of the strongest indicators of long-term loyalty you will ever. You have been taught to measure loyalty by attraction, by sex, by attention, by how fast she replies, or how intensely she expresses emotion. But those things are temporary states. They fluctuate with mood, stress, novelty, and life. Loyalty is not loud. Loyalty is quiet, behavioral, and often invisible unless you know where to look. A woman can desire you deeply and still walk away when it suits her survival or self-image. But when she does this one thing, it means her nervous system has placed you in a "here is the truth most men never hear." Female loyalty is rooted in emotional safety, not excitement, not dominance alone, not generosity alone. Safety. And safety does not mean boring or predictable. It means she feels psychologically protected with you. It means her guard lowers without her noticing. It means she stops performing and starts revealing. The behavior I am talking about is when she begins to self-regulate her own behavior to preserve the connection with you even when you are not present. Pay attention to that sentence. She is not modifying herself because you demanded it. She is not doing it to avoid punishment. She is not doing it to earn approval. She is doing it because losing alignment with you feels internally uncomfortable to her. When a woman starts adjusting her decisions, boundaries, and reactions in a way that naturally considers you without resentment, without negotiation, that is loyalty forming at a deep level. This shows up subtly. She thinks before she speaks when emotions run high. She corrects misunderstandings instead of escalating them. She protects the bond when outsiders try to destabilize it. She does not entertain attention that could threaten what she feels with you, even when no one would ever know. And the most important part, she does not announce these things. Loyalty does not need applause. Most men sabotage this stage because they misinterpret it as control. They test it. They push it. They become careless with her trust. Or worse, they relax their own standards thinking they have secured her forever. That is when the shift happens. Loyalty grows in environments where respect remains stable. Understand this deeply. A woman stays loyal when she feels chosen without being owned, desired without being consumed, and respected without being feared. When she starts acting in ways that protect the emotional space between you, she is telling you without words that you matter to her future self. That is rare. That is powerful. And if you recognize it early, you will never confuse attention with devotion again. Here is where most men misunderstand what they are seeing. And because of that misunderstanding, they accidentally destroy the very loyalty they crave. When a woman begins to emotionally self-regulate for you, when she starts protecting the connection instinctively, she becomes more vulnerable than she has ever been with you. And vulnerability is not soft. Vulnerability is risk. She is risking disappointment. She is risking loss. She is risking being taken for granted. At this stage, her loyalty is not locked in stone. It is still forming. Think of it like wet cement. It holds shape, but it can still be damaged if you step on it carelessly. What she is watching now is not what you say, but how you handle power. Power changes men. When a man realizes a woman is deeply invested, he often unconsciously shifts. He listens less. He explains more. He becomes reactive instead of grounded. He stops being intentional and starts being entitled. And the moment a woman senses entitlement, loyalty begins to decay quietly. Female psychology is deeply attuned to imbalance. When she feels she is giving emotional consideration and you are coasting on it, her nervous system registers danger, not anger, danger. And danger triggers emotional withdrawal, not confrontation. Here is a hard truth. Women rarely leave when they are angry. They leave when they feel unseen. So what does a loyal woman need in this phase? Not reassurance, not gifts, not dramatic gestures. She needs consistency of character. She needs to feel that the man she invested in emotionally is the same man who still shows up when comfort is available. This is why loyalty grows strongest when you remain disciplined with yourself. You keep your word even when it would be easy not to. You maintain boundaries even when she would tolerate less. You stay calm in conflict instead of winning arguments. These behaviors tell her subconscious mind that aligning with you was a safe decision. Notice something important here. Loyalty does not come from fear of losing you. It comes from trust that staying with you does not cost her self-respect. When a woman trusts that you will not exploit her openness, she stops scanning for exits. She stops keeping emotional backups. She stops testing you. Her mind settles. And when her mind settles, loyalty deepens. This is also why emotionally immature men never experience true loyalty. They mistake intensity for attachment. They think drama equals passion. But drama is instability, and instability kills loyalty faster than boredom ever could. If she begins to speak to you honestly, even when it risks friction, that is another sign. Silence is not peace. Silence is disengagement. A woman who corrects, clarifies, and communicates is investing. She is trying to preserve alignment, not dominate it. Understand this. Loyalty is not something you extract from a woman. It is something she gives when she feels emotionally safe to do so. And the moment she senses that her loyalty makes her smaller instead of stronger, she will slowly reclaim herself. So if you want her loyalty to last, you must treat it as something living, something responsive, something that grows when respected and withers when neglected. Men who understand this do not need to chase loyalty. They inspire it naturally. The most dangerous moment in any connection is not when things are unstable. It is when things feel secure. This is where loyalty is either reinforced or quietly dismantled. Because when a woman begins to feel emotionally anchored to you, she starts asking a deeper question without ever speaking it out loud. She asks herself, who do I become if I stay here long term? And your answer to that question is not your potential, it is your patterns. This is where male self-improvement stops being optional. A woman can admire your ambition, tolerate your flaws, and even forgive your mistakes. But she cannot stay loyal to a future that slowly erodes her sense of self. If being with you makes her feel calmer, clearer, and more grounded over time, loyalty strengthens. If being with you creates confusion, self-doubt, or emotional exhaustion, loyalty fractures internally long before she ever leaves. Here is something most men never realize. Women do not bond to words. They bond to emotional outcomes. How she feels after interactions with you matters more than what happens during them. Does she feel understood or dismissed, regulated or drained, supported or subtly judged? When she starts organizing her life with you in mind, that is another quiet sign she plans ahead. She considers timing. She integrates you into her routines naturally, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. That integration only happens when she believes consistency with you improves her life, not complicates it. And here's the part that separates men who experience temporary devotion from men who experience lasting loyalty. A loyal woman watches how you treat yourself. If you neglect your health, your purpose, your discipline, she feels the weight of carrying emotional stability alone. That creates anxiety. Anxiety kills loyalty. But when you manage your own emotional state, when you handle stress without collapsing or lashing out, her nervous system relaxes. She feels she is with a man, not a project. This is why stoic calm is so attractive at a deep level. Not emotional distance, emotional mastery. The ability to feel without being ruled by feeling. Another crucial signal is how you respond when she expresses discomfort. Do you listen to understand or listen to defend? A woman who feels heard does not need to withdraw. A woman who feels dismissed will eventually stop explaining herself. And when explanation stops, loyalty is already dying. Do not confuse loyalty with obedience. A loyal woman will still challenge you. She will still disagree, but she will do it with the intention of resolution, not destruction. She wants alignment, not control. And one more truth that stings but frees you. You cannot lock in loyalty by being perfect. You lock it in by being predictable in your integrity. She knows where you stand. She knows what you value. She knows how you respond under pressure. That predictability creates trust, and trust is the soil loyalty grows from. Men who understand this stop trying to impress. They focus on becoming emotionally reliable. They stop performing masculinity and start embodying it. And when a woman feels that steadiness consistently, loyalty stops being a question and starts being a choice she makes every day without needing to announce it. That is when she stays, not because she has to, but because leaving no longer makes sense to her. There is a moment in every deep connection that almost no man recognizes while it is happening. It is the moment a woman stops testing your interest and starts testing your stability. The tests are no longer obvious. They are not about jealousy or attention. They are about pressure, patience, and presence. She may come to you emotionally raw, not polished. She may express uncertainty instead of confidence. She may reveal fears she hides from everyone else. This is not weakness. This is her nervous system asking a single question. Can I be fully human here without losing respect? How you respond in these moments determines whether loyalty hardens or dissolves. If you minimize her feelings, try to fix her too quickly, or become defensive, she learns that emotional honesty costs her safety. And when honesty costs safety, loyalty cannot survive. But if you stay grounded, listen without panic, and respond with clarity instead of control, something powerful happens inside her. Her body learns that closeness with you does not equal danger. This is why emotionally mature men feel rare. At this stage, she also starts watching how you handle outside temptation. Not because she is paranoid, but because loyalty requires exclusivity at a psychological level. If she sees you craving validation, flirting for ego, or needing constant external approval, she feels instability. A man who is loyal to himself inspires loyalty in others. There is another sign that most men misread. When a woman becomes less dramatic, less reactive, and more calm around you, many men think attraction is fading. In reality, this is often attachment stabilizing. Drama is uncertainty. Calm is trust. But here is the danger. Calm can feel boring to a man who is addicted to emotional spikes. If you unconsciously reintroduce chaos to feel desired, you will destabilize her attachment. Loyalty thrives in emotional order, not adrenaline. Another critical factor is how you handle her autonomy. A loyal woman does not feel trapped. She feels chosen. If you respect her independence, support her growth, and do not punish her for having a life outside you, she associates you with expansion, not confinement. Control kills loyalty faster than betrayal, and here is something very few men are prepared to hear. A woman can sense when a man is loyal to the relationship, not just to her. Loyalty is not only about desire, it is about values. When she sees that you honor commitments, keep standards, and live by principles even when no one is watching, she trusts your consistency. At this point, her loyalty is no longer emotional only. It becomes identity-based. She sees herself as someone who stands with you. And when loyalty reaches identity, it becomes incredibly durable, but it is not indestructible. Disrespect, complacency, and emotional laziness can still erode it. That is why the men who keep loyalty long-term never stop leading themselves. They never stop paying attention. They never stop choosing integrity over ego. Because loyalty is not maintained by fear of loss. It is maintained by daily proof that staying aligned with you still feels like the right decision. If you can understand this phase, you stop asking whether she will stay. You start focusing on whether you are still the man worth staying with. Loyalty does not disappear all at once. It erodes quietly in moments where a man thinks nothing important is happening. This is the phase where most relationships fail, not because love is gone, but because awareness is. A woman who has already given you loyalty does not announce when it starts slipping. She observes. She recalibrates. She prepares emotionally long before she ever prepares physically, and the trigger is rarely betrayal, it is emotional neglect. When a woman feels emotionally partnered but functionally alone, something shifts inside her. She starts carrying her feelings by herself. She stops expecting you to notice changes. She stops inviting you into her inner world. From the outside, things look calm. From the inside, loyalty is slowly detaching from the relationship and reattaching to her own survival. This is why presence matters more than intensity. Being present does not mean being available 24/7. It means when you are there, you are actually there. You listen without multitasking. You respond without dismissing. You engage without treating her emotions like interruptions. These moments tell her she still matters beyond convenience. Another subtle factor is emotional leadership. A loyal woman wants to feel that someone is steering the emotional direction of the relationship, not reacting to it. When conflict arises, does chaos enter the room or clarity? Do you ground situations or escalate them? Emotional leadership is not dominance, it is regulation. Women stay loyal to men who make emotional situations feel manageable, not overwhelming. There is also the issue of gratitude, not verbal praise, but emotional acknowledgement. When her efforts are seen, when her energy is recognized, when her care is not assumed, she feels valued. When it is taken for granted, loyalty feels like a debt instead of a gift. And no woman wants to keep paying for something that no longer gives return. Here is another truth men avoid. Growth matters. If she grows and you stagnate, she will feel like she is shrinking to stay aligned. Loyalty cannot survive forced self-betrayal. This does not mean you must be perfect or constantly successful. It means you must be moving, learning, refining, becoming. A man who stays curious about life keeps a woman curious about him. Pay attention to how you handle her boundaries. A loyal woman sets boundaries not to push you away, but to protect the relationship. If you challenge, mock, or ignore them, you teach her that loyalty requires self-sacrifice. That lesson never ends well. And finally, understand this deeply. Loyalty lasts when a woman feels emotionally safe, expressing her full range without being punished. Joy, frustration, desire, fear. When she can bring all of it to you and still feel respected, she bonds at a level that is extremely hard to replace. Men who lose loyal women often say the same thing: "I didn't see it coming." But the signs were always there. Less sharing, less warmth, less effort. Not because she stopped caring, but because she stopped feeling met. If you can stay awake in this phase, if you can stay intentional when comfort tempts you to sleep, loyalty does not fade. It solidifies. Because a woman does not stay loyal to perfection. She stays loyal to presence, growth, and emotional safety that remains consistent even when the honeymoon energy is gone. That is the difference between temporary devotion and lifelong alignment. The reason this truth matters so much is because real loyalty is rare, and once it is lost, it almost never comes back in the same form. Not because women are unforgiving, but because the version of her that trusted you that deeply no longer exists. Loyalty is not a switch. It is a state of being she grows into with you, and when it breaks, she outgrows the relationship emotionally. The final layer of loyalty is when a woman no longer feels like she is choosing you every day consciously. It becomes automatic, integrated, calm. You are no longer a question mark in her life. You are a constant. And this only happens when her emotional system has enough evidence over time that you are safe, steady, and self-led. This is where many men get it wrong. They think loyalty means she will tolerate anything: silence, distance, inconsistency. But true loyalty is not tolerance, it is alignment. And alignment requires maintenance. A woman stays loyal forever when being with you feels like an emotional home, not an emotional job. She feels at ease expressing herself. She does not feel the need to compete for your attention. She does not feel the need to monitor your behavior. She trusts the structure you create together, and trust frees energy. That energy turns into devotion. But here is the responsibility that comes with that power. When a woman gives you this level of loyalty, you become a reference point for her self-worth. How you treat her becomes part of how she treats herself. That is why emotionally aware men never abuse loyalty. They honor it. You honor it by staying curious about her even years later. You honor it by continuing to grow, not because she demands it, but because stagnation breeds resentment. You honor it by choosing calm over ego, clarity over control, and presence over performance. A loyal woman does not need constant reassurance. She needs to see that the man she trusted is still choosing integrity when no one is watching. And if you are wondering how to know if she is already there, look at her behavior when things are hard. Does she lean in instead of disappearing? Does she try to resolve instead of escape? Does she protect the bond even when emotions run high? Those are not habits. Those are investments. Now, here is the part that matters most for you. Ask yourself this honestly, not defensively, not optimistically. Honestly, if she watched how you show up in silence, in stress, and in comfort, would she feel safer or smaller? Because that answer determines everything. And here's the equation I want you to think about and answer in the comments. Does being with you add calm plus clarity or confusion plus effort to a woman's life? Write your answer. Be real. If this video made you see yourself differently, like the video, subscribe if you want truths most people avoid, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it before it is too late. Because loyalty is not something you demand.